Oh, I don't think anyone predicted this. Jey Uso losing to Gunther clean on Monday Night Raw. My name is Sancho West, and welcome to Sancho West Wrestling. If you love wrestling, this is why you're here. Be sure to sub for more. But I have two takeaways from last night's match. But before we talk about that, let's just talk about the actual thing that happened. Jey Uso losing to Gunther clean unexpectedly. I mean, it's kind of wild, right? To think that all these ways that the WWE has invested in Main Event Jey Uso, the awesome entrance, the giving him the Royal Rumble win, putting the title on him at WrestleMania, only a 70-day reign for him to lose clean to Gunther. It's kind of interesting because the biggest takeaway I have, the first one, is that this is Any Given Monday. This is what wrestling in the Attitude Days was all about. The Rock, Stone Cold, they didn't have the titles long. I mean, here in the modern day, we're used to having this notion that a great champion needs to have a long reign. We have Gunther with a 666-day reign with the IC title. We have Roman Reigns with a 3-year reign, and all that, most of it, was filled with interferences from the bloodline. So that is how we were used to it. So now we look at Jey Uso. Ooh, you only had a 70-day reign? Ooh, you're bad champion, bad reign, transitional champion. All these phrases come up, which is kind of wild to think about. I mean, the one thing about it as well is that Jey Uso kind of got dinged up that Money in the Bank. He got hurt in some way. I know they were selling that it was the ribs with the tape job, but it looked like the knee. I mean, the way Logan Paul came off that moonsault and landed straight on his knee, no doubt Jey Uso was really hurt going into that. And now, here we are. Gunther is champion again. My second point I want to bring out, we talked about Any Given Monday. This has been the first thing. It's really exciting. The second thing is, I have to say it, Triple H does not know how to protect his baby faces. Okay? Walk down with me in this real quick, all right? The typical way that Triple H protects his baby faces is they have to be hurt. Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Jey Uso, they all have to be hurt going into whatever big battle that they're having, okay? There has to be some nerf to them, always to balance it. Rhea Ripley is a big case of this. Rhea Ripley hurting her shoulder, having to get her shoulder fixed, and all those kinds of things. It's clear as day. It's either your babyface is going to brawl his way to the feud, or your babyface is going to get hurt the night before, thus evening out the playing field. But it doesn't really matter about what happens before. You really have to think about that. I'm looking at the day of, right? Now, that match itself was a typical Gunther Jey Uso match, right? There were some kind of new wrinkles to the entire thing with Gunther using a spear, but I really feel like they didn't really work the ribs as much, right? The ending was really strange as well. I think the finish kind of put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. You literally built up Jey Uso on the premise that he tapped out Gunther. Like, that was the biggest strength. That was the core of what made Jey Uso awesome again, was that he made the big bad ring general Gunther tapped out. You had people all over the crowd saying you tapped out. But what does Triple H do? Triple H decides that it's okay for Gunther to put Jey Uso to sleep. They're trying to take the page from Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, that Stone Cold was such a tough guy that he never tapped out to the sharpshooter and passed out. But unfortunately, it doesn't work in this case because Gunther put Jey Uso to sleep with the headlock submission. It feels a little different. Now, you may disagree with me in the comments, and I would understand your positioning on that Jey was hurt and he was going into that match not 100%. But this takes away that power that Jey Uso made Gunther tap. Now, Gunther, who was being haunted by this ghost of tapping out to Jey Uso, no longer has that. He's exorcised this ghost away from him, and no longer you can say, oh, Jey made you tap because he put Jey to sleep. And I think that's my biggest concern, is that there was so much investment into this character Jey Uso, Main Event Jey Uso, the Royal Rumble win, getting the title at Mania with that tap out, and all of the pomp and circumstance behind Jey Uso, walking out with artists, things of that sort, were celebrities, the YEET movement, all this kind of thing to fuel Jey Uso. You could argue that Jey Uso did not have the best promos as champion, but you cannot argue that he moved merch. He was the vibe of the night. If you bought a ticket to see Jey Uso, you were going to get your money's worth from Jey Uso. And I think that is what the sour taste in my mouth that I have from this entire thing, because Triple H had plenty of opportunities to protect Jey Uso. You literally have Seth Rollins, the Mr. Money in the Bank, and I'm not asking for a full cash in, but just go out there to threaten Jey Uso, to distract Jey Uso. On top of that, you had another piece to play with for Triple H, Jey Uso's son. Now, who knows, maybe Jey didn't want his son to get involved in the business, but Jey Uso's son was at ringside. Imagine a world, and excuse me, I know I have to prove a point through fantasy booking, and that's kind of an annoying thing to do for us people, us fans, but imagine if Jey Uso's son was a part of this finish, where Jey Uso did like the Dominic Mysterio, went up to the apron and begged Gunther, please stop hurting my dad. Maybe there was an opportunity where Jey is looking at his son, and he has to understand, like, dude, I have to make a decision here, right? I need to protect my son in some way, whether I need to tap out, protect my health, or I'm going to pass out to show that I have their strength and resiliency. But his son could have added that layer of drama, something that Jey Uso excels at. There's nothing more magical than Jey Uso and drama. If you look at the Thunderdome matches with Roman Reigns, Jey Uso has an ability that not many do, and he has an ability that the WWE doesn't tap into. Right then and there's two opportunities to protect Jey Uso. Because now, what are you going to do with Jey Uso? He got put to sleep. He's probably going to go away. The only opportunity you could give him is an Impact return, right? Where he changes the outcome of a match. But Gunther, on the other hand, he's protected. He's back to his ring general self. He's probably going to go out there and talk about he's the greatest champion and Jey Uso wasn't a great champion and that no one could step up with him, and then he's going to sit there and wait for whatever the winner of the King of the Ring. And you know, that mystery spot most likely would be Ilya Dragunov coming back from his ACL injury. And then now we're going to get a replay of Gunther versus Ilya from the NXT days. Don't get me wrong. Gunther and Ilya could put on a banger of a match anytime, any day, story and no story. It's going to be a 5-star match. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that Jey Uso's stock went a little down after this Monday Night Raw. Let me know if you disagree. Sound off in the comments. And as always, sub for more. Peace. Have a beautiful day.